I am incredibly excited to have the opportunity to sit down with one of my absolute favorite humans in the space on the Better Media team and just a great friend, Gabriel Caceros. Right? Did I say it good?
Yes, wonderful.
G, you have been in my network for almost 5 years now. I don't know if you know that. I pulled our original LinkedIn messages and we have known each other for 5 years. And you have an incredible story to tell. And before announcing what we are here to announce, I would love for you to just tell everyone how you got started in this incredible space and how we got connected.
Well, everything started because I always had this crazy bug on my head that I could do something different, right? When I was in high school, I began flipping shoes and I began doing the deliveries myself, taking a bus across the city until I met Lou, who's now my wife, who basically introduced me to the Amazon world. I started a brand. I got a partnership with a print shop down here in Guatemala. And the next thing you know, we're selling that business for multiple six figures. By then, I was also trying to start. I don't even know what I was trying to do. I was just seeing all of you guys' cool LinkedIn posts and Facebook posts on where you being able to scale brands. And I thought I had something to share, right? So I got started posting on that Helium 10 users group on, hey, I tried this strategy and it worked out. And a couple of weeks later, my Facebook
Your
account
account got hacked.
my Facebook account gets suspended because I was doing some shady things trying to sell my shoes, and you just can't go ahead and advertise on Meta your favorite shoe brand. It just doesn't work like that. I was like, crap, LinkedIn isn't really a thing down here in Latin America. It's kind of up and common in Mexico and places like that, but it's not common to like, hey, just find me on LinkedIn, yeah, and we'll connect there and talk about like our careers, things like that. So that forced me to just point my head to LinkedIn. And well, if I want to continue sharing, content about Amazon and what I'm doing with my brand or what I've been doing on the consulting side, I need to be here. So kind of by accident or out of nowhere, the universe, I was just put into LinkedIn and I tried to begin sharing, what was working for myself, what I was doing on the consulting side. And I began to see the back then Better AMS brand getting more and more and more noticeable, to the point that I was a true fan of Better AMS, the culture, the company, and I began applying. Right, I began hitting that apply button. I didn't know how it was going to go. I knew Taylor back from the PPC AMS Accelerator course, and I was like, well, let's see, right? I think I got it. Maybe I've done this in the past myself. I know this is a way to continue learning and expanding my knowledge and on advertising, on digital media, on marketing, on business, until that name finally was brought up on a meeting. I don't know the backstory of that, but the time arrived for me to interview with you guys, and I still remember the exact moment when I had that first interview with Alex, and he was the chillest person ever I talked to. When it came to like management and the style and the approach, the LinkedIn content, things like that. So that's kind of the short story of how everything started. And here I am, couple years later.
How old were you when you got into e-commerce?
I was probably 19. I started selling t-shirts I started selling retro t-shirts of Michael Jordan through Facebook.
Naturally.
Like I was 19. So yeah, but Amazon probably 21.
How old were you when you accepted the job with us?
I think I was 22.
22. 20 years old, starting his own private label business from Guatemala, gets hired, well, exit, asks his girlfriend out. Shout out to Tim Jordan because he will never not tell that story of being there for that proposal. Gets hired at Better AMS, grows with us. And when I say grows, we were children together starting this journey, honestly, figuring out as we go. Fast forward, does exceptional work, becomes one of the top LinkedIn influencers in the Amazon advertising PPC space, one of the top evangelists, I would say, for better media culture, education, and just vibe, honestly. I think that's some of the biggest feedback I get on every showroom floor is, where did you find G? How do I get a G? He walks down the floor and never stops smiling. And every single person he interacts with, you leave them feeling better about themselves, I would say. That is the energy and the vibe that you have. And for those who are unfamiliar, a big part of better media culture, BTR, better trust, better transparency, better relationships, and better results. And something we really care about is just leaving people better off than when we met them. And I cannot say enough how much G is a testament to that. And he's grown so much in the space. I want to shout that out because the reason we're here today is an exciting announcement. Exciting, depending on who you ask. G has officially made the decision to pretty much go out on his own again, is what I would say. Graduate from the better media chaos that we've had over the last 4 years. And that's why we're here. One, I wanted to get you on because everyone deserves to know your story. It is one of the most inspiring stories in the space. And I think that we don't speak about it enough. Two, I want to wish you the absolute best luck on your next journey. And what better way to do that than an official Better Media send off on LinkedIn? And also because we've grown up together. And I wanted to just ask you about what that's been like and talk about everything we've learned and grown in some of our best moments, because this is definitely something that I will cherish, the interview, the time with you. Yeah. So that being said, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what's next for you and kind of what you're most looking forward to and starting off on your own again?
I love it. Yeah, well, first of all, I think I would like to share my experience here at BTR. I think what I don't know. I consider myself probably the absolute luckiest person when it comes to the timing and the hiring process. I had the opportunity because I got hired like late March 2020, if I remember that correctly. And there was like a small pause for maybe 2-3 weeks where like we didn't know how things were gonna go, and we're like, well, let's just continue learning and adapting to our processes and structures, and we will figure it out as we go. But I was lucky enough to, I don't know if we were hopping on one-on-one calls almost every day, and you were just pouring into my brain like everything culture related, everything sales related, everything security related, because it doesn't matter if you're 18, 28, or 40, like you have to know what you're speaking up to. And that was one of the most important lessons back then. Then of course, like seeing the startup going from, having 5 people, because we were 5 people back then, I think, to
you were Alex and I's first hire.
Yeah.
Right, which is crazy.
I think it's just a blessing to experience that. There is no school, there's no master's program that's gonna teach you what I have experienced at BTR, and that's just, I mean, I feel like super lucky. I even feel luckier that I just got in right during that time, because that allowed us to spend even more time together, a lot of more one-on-one time. And as you guys continue to grow in your own roles, I was able to find my role in the space. And probably one of the biggest things I highlight out of my time at BTR is how, regardless of my self-doubting about like my insecurities or the things I could or could not done, I was always supported in the sense of, you know what, you go ahead and take these tests. Let's figure out who you are. And go ahead.
You have been the person that's had to, you led a good portion of our sales team. You led some of our outbound initiatives. You worked with a lot of the virtual assistant team, especially in the early days when we didn't have a lot of the tech systems that we had now. Yeah. You've led a lot of our Spanish initiatives, spoke on stage at a lot of Mexico conferences and things like that. Like, you've truly been a testament of someone who will just dive in and figure it out. And that's why you're going to be successful. That's why entrepreneurship has always fit you well. And I told you this, I've always assumed that you would leave, because you have that go-getter, you have the attitude that's needed. And it's that insane confidence. It's the Taylor Benarud, it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to succeed. And that's what's allowed you to scale with us when there was so much uncertainty and changing in roles and positions, is you put on the hat and figured it out. Yeah.
Well, leaving BTR, that doesn't come easy. I don't know, that the camaraderie, I would say, or the it's just an environment that's difficult to separate from, you know. And I still don't really know what that's like, because it's like my last date's in a couple more days. But you know, at the same time, previously as a seller or brand owner, I already know what's like being on your own. I didn't want to say lonely, but you're kind of lonely in a way, unless you're
We're
pulling
not
it.
gonna we're not gonna just I won't block you on iMessage, G. We can still send SpongeBob memes, and I
Maybe,
talk to
yeah.
Kyle once a quarter, so I have no doubt I'm gonna have a
Yes.
ex Better Media. We'll start having a little support group for everyone who used to work at BTR. A support group's probably not the right term. It kind of makes it negative, but you're 100% right. And I think that's one of my concerns, I would say, but something I want to make sure we do a better job of as we scale is I can only hop on so many calls a week. And in the beginning, you and I were able to talk all the time. And it was fantastic because, like, we were able to grow together and feed off each other's energy and things like that. But as you hire more team members, as you sign more brands, like, your time has to become a lot more selective. And that's why it's really important to me that we have people like Adam and Emery and Jess who can also reflect that culture of making sure everyone's taken care of. Because it's not easy in a virtual environment. Like, I would have loved to have grown up in an office with you all together. I think there's moments where we probably would have hated each other because it's such a high stress environment, and also being in the same room, it makes it difficult. But that's something I want to make sure we protect in the culture. And you have been one of the leaders in making that happen for us, is just like the glue that keeps everyone together. And we need to make sure to hire for that moving forward, and that the standards you set as we've grown,
Yeah,
don't leave the company when you leave. So I'm going to keep a little bit of G. I'm going to make sure that some of you stays with us because we definitely need to protect that.
I love it. Yeah, I don't think we would really hate each other at all. I think, you know,
In
you guys have
office,
done
I don't know.
yeah,
Do
I
you
think you
chew
guys
with
have
your
done a
mouth
good
open?
job between, you know, making sure that personalities aligns with the brand, and then
Yeah.
you align personality to co-manage brands together. So it would be hard that we get to that point to
I
get
don't
between.
know. The third time Taylor beat you at ping pong on a Friday.
Oh well, maybe off the accounts. Yeah, yeah, probably. I beat him at the, what is it, soccer tennis though. So
Yes.
it's a tie.
For those listening in, something that we've done is, once a year we do try to get together, the whole team in a house. And Alex probably hates us for this, but we are one of the most competitive teams out there, I would say. I will challenge anyone listening in to a 3v3 basketball tournament right now and put money on the table. Like, Better Media is coming out on top. So send me a message if you want to take us up on that offer. But I distinctly remember being in Tulum and we were playing spoons, and Taylor and I basically getting in a fist fight over the last round of spoons. And then an hour before that, it's like pouring rain, and you and Taylor are outside, like, sweatbands on, basically, like, throwing down at the ping pong table. So
Ripping.
those are the things that, like, I've loved that we've been able to maintain as we grow. Because it's not easy. You have people with a lot of different personality types, and it's fun. It's added a lot of diversity. It's been really cool to see that as we've scaled. G, you've also gotten married. You got married while working with us. As my
You were at
first
my
time.
you were at my wedding, and Alex.
How do you feel like, since you've started, what are the two biggest areas where you feel like you've grown up and matured? I mean, in my opinion, your marriage was a huge one, and
Yeah.
seeing pre-G, post-G, it's been a really cool experience. But what other areas do you feel like you've changed and grown the most since starting with Better Media?
Well, I think so on one side it comes through the example I'm seeing of you guys. I think when we first began working together, you just had moved houses for like your first time ever. And you began asking yourself questions, right? Should I do that? Is that going to help me? Is that going to help push my mindset? Things like that. It's also the small things like personal finance with Alex. How should I, budget my
You didn't reach out to me
salary?
about that?
Reach out to who?
You didn't reach out to me about your personal finance goals?
Well, we exchanged a few words, and I was like, maybe we'll reach out to Alex about it.
Noted.
um, so small things like that, right? I think whenever you see, I remember like Kyle just working on his new shed or
Yeah.
his own workspace. It's the small things like that that like make you go figure, hey, um, I can do that. Like I can go ahead and save money. I can go ahead and invest. I can go ahead and have a house. Things, but it was in a way all led by example, like all driven by the example I was in the team. Even the small things like, hey, I went for a hike this weekend. I'm like, oh God, I just watched Netflix the entire weekend. What am I doing with my life?
All right, CR7. If I remember appropriately, you went through a whole personal fitness change. You started competing competitively in tennis again. So you set the example as well in that area.
I'm just sending a picture from 2020. I look older in that picture than today. That's crazy.
Yes, I would say the same. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would wrap it up, but just all the things that I've seen the team can done versus the things I also see. I've seen myself reflected in the team, and then seeing that capabilities and applying those the same knowledge into my own life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just we have grown up together. Like you remind, you see the memes about being the oldest child, and it's always about, you have no idea what you're doing with the oldest child. Like you are our oldest child. Like we figured it out together, and you grew up as we were growing up as leaders, as managers, and as the company grew as well. With that, is there anything that you would give us advice on?
I think, what could I say? That's a hard one. That's a hard one, I think. When it comes to culture, we act as team members, and team members are people who have trained during the week for the game. They have been on time for their training. They have ate well for their just to make sure they're performing. And we have this culture where if I go ahead and look at the side, I have someone just like me, probably carrying the same weight, probably doing the same workout I am. It's maybe just get more cooler uniforms or more merch. I don't know.
Gee, you did not just tell me that your biggest feedback and area of improvement for us is to get cooler merch, which
more
merch,
more cool merch. Yeah,
more cool merch. We have had some very cool merch for those who don't know, and if you don't know, you must live under a dang rock. G has some of the best Nikes in the space and the best style in general. Follow him on Instagram. I'll give him a huge shout out because he is incredible. You always know when G's walking through the floor because like it's impeccable. It's brand new Air Force Ones that I swear he buys for every single event. It's our matching jersey, and you have a lot of swag. You truly do.
So cool. That's sales too. So
it is sales. It is sales.
Wow. Yeah. I can't think of anything else. I think BTR has been, and I haven't done the post yet. I'm halfway through, but BTR has been at home, but it has also been an incubator for me to go ahead and extend my next level and begin flying. So yeah, I can think
you've made it this whole time without tears. And I'm getting emotional. We have your going away party coming up, which will be emotional. And I'm getting emotional now just because, again, I'm so thankful that you ever took the bet on us in the beginning.
No, it was totally the other way around. You guys took a bet on me. I was a random Guatemalan guy who just was posting a few findings on.
He was one of the hardest workers I've ever met, and I have so many of these like distinctive memories of you in these moments that I'm like, that was a growth moment, or that's something I want replicated through our culture. And I think one of the smallest ones was we were talking about like AMC or something. And you were like, yeah, I listened to your podcast over the weekend 3 times so I could figure out how to communicate like you communicate.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I would do? So when I would leave home to pick up Blue, let's say on a Saturday, we would have these conversations about the Amazon lingo, how we would need to transition from talking PPC to talk to BTR Media. Don't cry, Gabriel, don't cry. I would play your interview or your podcast, right? And on like point 80 or point 75, and I would just begin repeating what you were saying slowly, just so that I could begin adapting to, at this point, I probably had even a dialect coach just to make sure that I could speak up to retail media the best, the smoothest way possible. But it was kind of, it was that kind of additional mile effort you have to do as an English as a second language person, because you need to figure it out. You need to speak up to it fast. You need to be able to explain it in different ways, or ways that people will be able to understand it, even if they have no experience. Which is kind of I think that was our 2021 like slogan and heart: make people understand ads, even if they have never touched Amazon or the ad console. But let's just talk in a way that it's easy to understand. So that was part of that additional effort, and definitely a moment that set a pivotal way of how I could even go ahead and lay out content, or break down the pieces of something new. Yeah. Wow.
Those are the skill sets that are going to make you successful in anything you choose to do. It has nothing to do with better media and our reach. It's everything to do with the fact that you put it all on the table to learn and to grow. And I can't say it enough. Your next venture is going to be successful. I can't put my name on you and the work you're going to do enough. I have no doubt we will end up partnering in the future. It's something we've already discussed. Like, we trust the brand that you are going to build in the direction you're going to go because of that. That very small example is like a testament to the work. And I'm not speaking to you now. I'm speaking to all of the listeners who are going to need consultation, or who are starting their own PL business and don't know if they can do it. You did it. You sold, you exited, you built one of the best personal brands in the space because of your hard work and dedication. And I think that's just going to pass on to your level of customer service and everything else that you're going to accomplish with us. So I've said it enough, and we don't need to just make this a hype session, because I was wanting more feedback than get cool merch from you on this podcast, but
you can still send merch my way.
I will send merch your way. You and Kyle can get like OG merch for
Yes.
Better Media. I do want to give one more shout out and give you one more chance to, what is your technical expertise? What do you think you're absolutely best at? And for all of the brands listening who need a consultant, who need a managed service, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the services you think that you would provide best to them?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I appreciate the kind words. Second of all, thank you for allowing this space, for just sharing a little bit of my expertise. Like you said, I'm kind of a PPC artisan, because like we were here before tech, we were here before AMC, we were here before even DSP was rolled out at a level where you can get a seat easier. Maybe not just get a seat at all, but like maybe get a seat easier, right? So I feel super comfortable working with people who are really trying to figure things out, and they're wanting to delegate their digital media part to someone who is just going to keep an eye on things. It's going to provide additional information and additional insights, because most of times, sellers are doing a great job on campaign buildouts, but they are lacking that additional insight that can save them $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, because they just haven't been exposed to structure, or they are not covering all of the things they should be covering. They're not running remarketing ads. Like it's the small things that add up and then can make an impact on the overall. I've also got obsessed helping our clients at BTR Media with things like how a small change, or something that it's aligned between SBAs and SPA can have an impact on organic rank, and how that organic rank bursts or improves depending on how good our inventory is, how well distributed that inventory is, like nationwide, because you got different places you can send your inventory to. And it's the small things like that later can help you figure out the organic ramp part, and how because it's all about convenience. I've come up to that conclusion. Amazon wants convenience for their customers, and if you only have inventory on one side of the world, one side of the country, well, it's less likely that you're going to rank well on the other side of the country. Things like that. It's the things that had got me obsessed over the years. And then there's the CRO part where let's go ahead and make a tweak in the main image. Let's make it rectangular. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's see how that what kind of effect that has on click-through rate, on conversion rate, and if that doesn't stick, well, we can always pivot again, right? It's the small insights like that, I think.
This is where I think you're the most well-rounded. You're not the only one on our team, but there's a few that have started their own brand and successfully ran their own brand. I think you're the only one on the team that's officially exited. And that's really exciting because it's not just about Amazon advertising. Your Amazon advertising and PPC is only as good as your conversion rate and click-through rate. And that's where I think you provide so much to the space. You are one of the only ones who've started and exited a brand. So you have so much better of an understanding around Amazon advertising and the effect of the listing, how much conversion rate, click-through rate, unit session percentage relates to your Amazon advertising success. And I think that's something that you definitely bring to the table.
Yeah, no, and with all these new data Amazon's throwing at us with Amazon Brand Analytics, Search Query Performance, Market Basket Analysis, demographics to this point, like there's a lot to dive into, and you can tell I'm passionate about just taking, like looking into those little insights and figure out what can help customers improve their metrics.
Definitely. Well, do you have a name for your new company yet? Best Media, BST.
Best Media, Greater AMS. Yes, guys.
Greater AMS.
Greater AMS. Well, previously I used to run with a name like Ingenious Bidding, but I figured that was too long.
Yeah.
And now that we're also transitioning into creative development, things like that, I think we're gonna stick with INGB.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
or
it.
Or INGB for like as another short name. I'm still trying to figure that out. I need to get the website.
All right. Well, hold on the website, hold on the new brand name. I'm sure everyone's going to know you by your personal brand regardless. Yeah. So I just, again, thank you so much for the time today, for allowing us to grow together. I'm not going to say goodbye or make it sentimental because we're going to probably have quarterly calls after this. But anyone who wants to reach out, LinkedIn's probably the best place, I would say. Shoot Gia a DM. More than happy to work on your brand and drive a lot of success. And thank you again so much for the opportunity to be your friend more than anything.
No, I have to thank you guys. I would just love to be there in person right now and just shake hands, hug you, and really look at you in the eye and thank you for
there would be tears then.
I know. Yes, there has to be for sure. But I appreciate also the space and the opportunity to share my story here at the BTR channel, and more to come. That's for sure. And I'm sure we will both be there for it.
More to come. We'll end on that. Thank you, everyone.